Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Sportslook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, and because this is Women's History Month, we're going to have an episode entirely devoted to the ladies. We're going to have Lazuria Saunders from Greyhound Women's Basketball. Then we're going to have Deja Adrian from Greyhound Women's Basketball, all finished up with a women's basketball-themed overtime. But as always, I'll start out with an Eastern recap. Greyhound baseball went over to Canyon, Texas last weekend to play 4 games. They came back with 1 victory. Greyhound softball playing at home against Texas A&M International. They won 2 out of 3. And congratulations to Timothy Frederick. He is a member of the Greyhound track and field squad. He has qualified for the NCAA Indoor National Championships in the 200. Well, that will conclude our Eastern recap. So we'll clear this out and I'll bring in my first guest, Lazuria Saunders, right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and a privilege to bring to Sportslook one of the mainstays of the Greyhound women's basketball team, Lazuria Saunders. And Lazuria, welcome to Sportslook.
Thank you.
First question, where are you from and what was the process that got you here to play this year at Eastern New Mexico?
Well, I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Coach Meg and Coach P reached out to me consistently, and I really liked how they talked about the program and how they were willing to help me get better and be healthy while doing that. And so that's how I ended up here.
Was basketball always your sport growing up, or did you play a number of them and just gradually basketball became your best sport?
Basketball was always my favorite, but I also went to state for track and field.
What events?
The 200, 400, high jump, and the 4x4.
Wow, you were a versatile young lady.
Yeah.
So in terms of basketball, what about the game made you love it?
Well, I just enjoyed the constant play of the game, and also everyone in my family played basketball, so it was natural for me to gravitate towards the sport.
In terms of basketball, are you a fan of the game? Do you watch like WNBA and NBA and college, or is it just more you enjoy playing the game?
So I like watching certain players really, like Steph Curry, Giannis, Kyrie. I really enjoy watching them play. And then I also watch March Madness every year.
I think we all do. We're not a very productive society during that period of time because everybody's checking their phones to see how games are going.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite team? I would imagine coming from Michigan, maybe you're a Pistons fan, but maybe you've got a different team that you're a favorite.
Actually, the Golden State Warriors were my favorite team.
There you go.
It was a little hard to watch them being in Michigan and the time difference and whatnot.
You had to really buy into to watch them because there was a 2-hour time difference.
Yeah.
So in terms of you personally, was there a coach at some point in your life that you would say really had the biggest influence on helping you develop, or were all of your coaches part of what you became?
All of them played a large role, but my dad was one of my AAU coaches, and he really changed how I looked at the sport.
When it came time to graduate from high school and think about going to college, you were good enough to go to a D1 school. What was it that got you to Alabama A&M as opposed to other schools you might have gone to?
So, I have a really good work ethic, and I'm also very dedicated to the game. When it comes to meeting up at Alabama A&M, I feel like me and the coach really worked well together, and our personalities matched really well.
Well, and then obviously you have a chance to play some more basketball because of the way that things work in college basketball these days. And you talked about the fact that Coach De Los Reyes and Martin, her assistant, said, "Hey, why don't you come here?" What was it about their argument or about their sales pitch that really got you plugged in?
Um, you know, they said it's going to be like a family, and especially for it being so far away from Grand Rapids, I really gravitated towards that. And also their style of play, because I like the upbeat, faster style of play, and I feel like that's the best way for me to play, and that's what made me really want to say, like, I'll give it a chance.
And from what I understand, just a little bit of conversation that I had with Coach De Los Reyes, she felt like our system would better exhibit your talents because, from what I understand, your previous coach wanted you to kind of be more of a back the ball down low, and your skills obviously are very good on the perimeter.
Yes, my last coach, uh, she wanted me to play back to the basket, and it was very difficult for me to do that. That's part of the reason why I did want to look for another school, because I wanted to expand my skills in the perimeter and shooting range and whatnot.
Well, as it turned out, the season ended up with 4 games, 3 of them on the road. Your team had played so well that if we had just won one of those 4 games, we would have gone to the Lone Star Conference playoffs. But because you were hurt, Adisha was hurt, Bella was hurt for quite a few of those games, we didn't quite make it. But still, it was a great season. To come that close is a testament to how every lady bought into the mission of the Greyhound women's team.
Yes, we were very close. Maybe we can give it another chance.
Well, we actually have film of the last home game of the season, which was against Western New Mexico. Unfortunately, the only place we're going to see you is on the sideline cheering on your team, but it's pretty exciting highlights. So let's cue them up and walk us through it and talk about what you saw from your teammates in this segment here.
No, we're being very patient, which that's great. We're running through the plays and not forcing anything. That's always good to have. And sharing the ball.
And that was Julia Desejo, one of the freshmen that hit that shot.
I feel like we always play best when we do share the ball.
Yep. And now we're going to see some D.
That's my roommate right there.
I was going to say, Ashley spends about as much time on the floor as any basketball player.
Yeah, she loves to dive.
She's a hard-nosed player.
Mm-hmm.
Usually being the shortest player on the court, Bella Stone, she gets the job done.
She sure does.
And there's the young lady that's going to be our next guest. She's pretty good.
Yeah.
So how many set plays do you have?
Okay, so we have a lot. I believe it was 20 set plays.
Wow.
Yeah, with several variations on each one.
I could probably remember 4.
Yeah. And then we had to get multiple positions, but we got it done.
Yeah, Western New Mexico, I honestly think if we play them, and no disrespect, and if there are people watching this out in Silver City, they beat us fair and square. But, I really honestly like to think that if we were at full complement, we would have beaten them. But that's the way basketball is sometimes.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the academic side of your life. What do you want to do with your life, and how does your experience here at Eastern fit into that plan?
Well, I'm going to be a sports psychologist. And so I'm currently in the master's program for counseling, which I'll have to take a couple more courses and whatnot. But once I achieve the degree, then I can go into the certification and start working with other athletes to help them be better as well.
Did you get an undergraduate degree in psychology or in a different
It's
major?
psychology.
Very
Yes.
good. And so who have you worked with here at Eastern? Who are some of the professors that you have for classes?
Well, I have Dr. Moffitt, who's also my advisor, and then Dr. Katie and a few others.
Hmm.
But I really work with Dr. Moffitt quite closely.
So what's the big difference between undergraduate and graduate school?
I feel like you have to take more initiative in graduate school. You have to read your book, do extra studying to make sure you're on top of everything that you need to be done.
In terms of sports psychology, do you hope to work with individuals or do you hope to be a sports psychologist with like a D1 program, or is that kind of to see where the future takes you?
Well, currently I'm looking to work with individuals, particularly professional athletes, but wherever it leads me, I'll be happy to be.
Absolutely. So, in terms of psychology, what's the most eye-opening thing that you've learned, either as an undergraduate at Alabama A&M or here, about psychology or about counseling?
Well, the thing is, everything affects you, and I feel like people who don't take that like into consideration, they be like, oh, well, it's whatever, it's this, it's that, but like each thing that you do in life and things that you hear and see, they affect you as well, and I think that's one of the most important things that I've
Well, you always seem to be very good under pressure, so I think you're probably well on your way towards being a good psychologist. In terms of your teammates, I mean, obviously we don't have enough time to talk about all of them, but it was kind of an interesting year because the only player on the team who played last year, who actually got a chance to play this year, was Bella Stone. But it really said a lot, I think, that Stacey Ajabiyowe and that Julia Chavez, even though it turned out they couldn't play, they wanted to be a part of the team.
hmm Yeah, that was really nice to have them around, and I know the whole team enjoyed them being around, even just coming to road trips and things like that. And like when they weren't able to come to some road trips, we really felt the difference. And you really appreciate everyone who came back and helped us grow as a Greyhound.
In terms of your teammates, as it turned out, Adisha Beck is from your hometown. She's from Grand Rapids, Michigan. So you would naturally kind of look at the roster and think, well, she's obviously going to be your good friend. But who on the team also was a good friend that wasn't from Grand Rapids, Michigan?
Well, everyone on the team was really a good friend to me. I've been pretty close with Kiki and Stacy and all my roommates like Ship and Deja, uh, even Bella as well. Like those are the few girls who I've been extra close with.
Who really, I would imagine that Bella kind of de facto had to be the one that fit the role of kind of telling, this is the way things work in Easter, and this is what you can expect in the Lone Star Conference. But I, Julia and Stacy, both obviously smart girls who had been there, so I imagine all three of them gave you insights on this is the way things are going to be.
Yes, they did. They helped us get through a lot because the way the Lone Star works is a lot different from my last conference. So it did help a lot for them to come and give us information and intel of how things go.
Lone Star Conference, a tough, tough conference, and I'm not just saying it because we're a part of it, but uh, just a lot of really good teams, a lot of travel, Thursday, Saturday routine, and it takes a toll. But like I said, if it hadn't been for injuries, I think you probably would have gone to the postseason.
hmm
Well, talk a little bit about now that the season is over. Sometimes you think you know what a head coach is going to bring to the table, and it turns out not to be the case. Sometimes it's like, okay, what I saw in the recruiting process is what I got. So, what was your working relationship with Coach De Los Reyes?
Well, uh, her personality was the same for me when it came to recruiting versus in person. Um, and I just appreciated her keeping the same positive energy that she had and things like that, and trying to lead up to trying to have everything that she said during the recruiting process. I appreciate that.
I was actually, you'd never know it to look at me now, but I was actually an assistant women's basketball coach at UC San Diego, and I, I was I had to be the bad cop to the good cop, but it seems like your assistant coaches, I mean, everybody was a good cop.
Yeah, they were all very nice. We really didn't have many issues to where there had to be a bad cop in sense. I think overall we were very well-mannered and, pretty disciplined team.
Well, I got a chance to do all of your ball games except for one, and I will attest that. Missouri, thanks so much for being our guest, and best of luck moving forward, and I hope you achieve your dream of getting to be the psychologist for a pro athlete someday.
Thank you.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up our first interview segment, so we'll clear the set, and we'll bring in Missouri's teammate, Deja Adrian, right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and an honor to bring to the set of Sportslook from the Greyhound women's basketball team, Deja Adrian. And Deja, welcome to Sportslook.
It's nice having me here. Thank y'all. I appreciate it.
Well, first and foremost, congratulations for, I would imagine that most of our watchers and viewers know this, but you were voted first team All Lone Star Conference. And not only that, you were voted the newcomer of the year on the Lone Star Conference.
Yes, sir.
I think that's even more impressive because you got like 5 people on the first team, but you've only got one newcomer of the year. So did you kind of have a feeling that you might be in the running, or was this just like out of the blue?
I had a feeling just because like Coach Meg and along with Coach P and my other teammates and Remy, they kind of they had that confidence in me. So they were already telling me like expect good things, or they were expecting good things out of me. So I guess you could say it kind of was expected, so yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you look at your stats, I mean, you were at or near the top in a lot of different categories. I just had, I had the worry that, when you didn't go to the playoffs, that maybe it's like, well, maybe I was going to knock you down. But I think they recognized how valuable your contribution was.
Yeah, and I was kind of thinking that too, just because there's a lot of talented girls playing in the Lone Star Conference, and so when we found out that we weren't going to be able to make it to the tournament, I kind of had that thought in the back of my head as well too. So, yeah.
Well, Deja, let's go back to square one here, and we'll ask you the question: where are you from, and what was the process that got you to the team here at Eastern?
So I am from Houston, Texas, and the process was pretty sweet. So I was raised at Aldine High School. That's the high school I graduated from, and my coach from that high school played with Coach Meg, and they were best friends. And her name's Coach Azul, and she was basically my mom. She basically raised me in high school. And when she found out that I was transferring from my previous school, Blinn, she was like, well, kid, I have somebody for you. I think you'll be a really good player for her program. And so it kind of just went from there. And I met Coach Meg at, Coach Meg came and found me at our national tournament last year that I played in. And I remember Coach Meg telling me this year, she was like, the game, the way you played at that tournament, I didn't think I was going to get that out of you here. That's not where I recruited, but you gave me more. And yeah, that's kind of how the process went. I kind of just got lucky and winded up here, so yeah.
Was basketball always your sport, or did you play a number of sports and just run?
No. So our household grew up, I have 3 other siblings, and we all ran track. And yeah, we were super fast, and we ran track. I went from track to volleyball to soccer to tennis. Yeah, I've played to softball too. I even played softball. So I've played a wide variety of sports growing up.
So what events did you do in track and field?
I ran, oh man, I ran the 4x1, the 4x2, the 4x4. I ran the 4x8 and club track. I ran the 800. That was my favorite event. And I ran just the solid 400. I did long jump. I did triple jump. I did 300 hurdles. It's a list. It's just, it keeps going on and on. So whatever event my coach wanted to put me in, that's what I did.
So who was the biggest influence on you basketball-wise?
I would have to say my high school coach, just simply because she was there for me when times were tough. And I didn't think basketball was going to be my outlet. And she kind of moved me towards that direction. And she's my role model. Like I said, she's basically like my mom. And she kind of just guides me through life and just keeps me on my toes at the same time. And yeah, I don't think I wouldn't be here if I didn't meet her or if I didn't have her in my life at all. So yeah.
Excellent. Obviously, it was a team that was in a state of transition, to say the least, when you got here, because as it turned out, we thought we were going to get a number of players back, but we only got one, Bella Stone. So everybody was brand new, and yet you ladies got off to a really fast start in the season. What allowed you to gel so quickly?
I think one thing that helped was just the confidence we had in each other. Like, I remember the way I played this year, I wouldn't be able to play like that if I didn't have my teammates. Like, I remember one game, and I think it was our last home game, Deesh pulled me to the side, and she was like, she looked me in my eyes, she was like, Deja, go get a bucket. She was like, you need to go to the rack, like, go. And that wasn't even, Deesh hasn't been the only one who said that, but that's like one of the moments I do remember. And my teammates have done that several times, and we've done that several times to each other as well. So being able, like, us just building up each other's confidence helped us play together as well, and yeah.
I think for some young ladies on the team, they probably point to the West Texas game as being the high point of the season because there are better rivals. But at St. Mary's, which is in San Antonio, there was a decent crowd there from St. Mary's. There were as many people there, and they were all rooting for you.
Yeah, shout out to my people. They, I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of, like, not even friends. Basketball has gave me family, and that's exactly who's in the stands. I had my best friend, Franny, and Mokada. I had my sister, Tia, there, my dad, and some other coaches, and my old man, Raul. Like, they were all just, it was more people there. Like, my coach, Coach Azul, was there, and, like, basketball has really just, it's brought me family. So having them in the stands, they were the loudest ones at that game, too. Like, yeah.
They were. There was no question about it.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, you're an exceptionally good athlete, but you're also a student athlete. And so let's talk a little bit about the student part of it. What are you majoring in?
Right now, I'm majoring in physical education because I plan on becoming a coach as well. I want to be the coaches that I've had in my life, all the coaches that I've had in my life have impacted me in some sort of way, whether it was the tennis coach I had in 7th grade, 8th grade, or the soccer coach I had, the softball coach, the volleyball. All my coaches have impacted me in some sort of way. And I want to be able to do the same thing. So that's the route that I've decided to take.
Would you prefer to be like your high school coach and coach on the high school, or do you want to be like Coach Meg and coach college, or is it just to be determined?
I'm taking it day by day. I don't know that yet, but whatever happens, happens, and whatever's meant to be is just whatever's meant to be, so yeah.
Well, Deja, congratulations on your individual honors, and I obviously am a little biased because I got a chance to do all of your games except for one, but I honestly think next year at this time we'll probably talk about you being a part of the Lone Star Conference tournament.
Yeah, that's the plan. Yes, sir.
We'll see it through.
All right.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up our interview segment, so what we'll do is we'll clear the set and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. Two big stories coming out of women's basketball on the D1 level last weekend. First of all, and I'm a little bit biased because I am a native Iowan, but the University of Iowa upset Indiana, upset Ohio State, and for a second straight year won the Big Ten championship. Big reason why Caitlin Clark probably going to be the National Player of the Year. She has more triple doubles involving scoring 30 points than any basketball player in history. But if I'm being completely honest, the really big shocker coming out of the weekend was Washington State University. They were the 7th seed in the Pac-12 tournament. They beat UCLA in the championship. Washington State won their first championship ever in Pac-12 basketball. That's an accomplishment. Well, that will finish up in overtime, and that will finish up an episode of Sportslook. I'd like to thank my guests, Lazuria Saunders and Deja Adrian. Had a great floor crew led once again by Mr. Logan. So for all those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.